So welcome to Cutting Edge California and a wine and food revolution. In the last 30 years, California has achieved global recognition for its wines. It's now the fourth largest producer in the world.
I think that America woke up and they said, wait a minute, why do we let Italy have the monopoly on the great wines? Why do we let France have the monopoly on great wines? And now we are right up there with those countries and winning a lot of the awards.
The small town of Paso Robles, archetypal American frontier community. It's about an hour inland from the Pacific Ocean in what's known as California's Central Coast area. The land around Paso Robles is hot, hilly, and dry. Northern California's famous wine-making areas, Napa and Sonoma, were established in the 19th century, but Paso Robles has now become the center of a new wine region, which was only properly established about 35 years ago. Gary Eberly is known as the godfather of Paso Robles. Encouraged by reports of good growing conditions, he was one of the first of the new breed of winemakers here.
There were 3 wineries. They had all been here since the repeal of Prohibition, or before. And when I came down in '73, we planted 700 acres, and that was the largest planting in the area and probably a third of all of the grapes at that time. And now there's 26,000 acres and about 170, 80 wineries. So it's grown significantly over the last 30, 35 years.
One of Gary's claims to fame is that he effectively pioneered the Shiraz or Syrah red grape in Paso Robles.
Yeah, well, I was cutting the edge before there was an edge. You know, I just became sort of intrigued by it because it had such a distinctive character. And then I started investigating Syrahs from the Northern Rhone. And I said, wow, this is great. So I made it a point to get some Syrah cuttings, and we planted 20 acres in '74 and another 20 acres in '77. And for at least a decade, we were essentially the major source of Syrah in the United States. I would say at one point, I would say at least 80% of all the Syrah grown in the U.S. came from cuttings from my vineyard. It's probably still 60% now. And because of that, a lot of people have started bringing in other varieties. They've really brought in so many different clones. We probably, I mean, not probably, we are the center of the Rhone movement in the United States, absolutely.
The Justin Winery was another established quite early on, in 1981. It was founded by Justin and Debbie Baldwin.
When we started, for example, there were only 200 wineries in all of America. Today there's 5,000 across the United States. The dominant focus had been north of us, almost 300 miles in the Napa Valley and the Sonoma Valleys. And people like us, who are sort of more a pioneer spirit, thought, well, rather than just be somebody else on the road up there, let's go somewhere else and see if we can do this. And so we came here, and as I said, there were a few others before us. And it's interesting when you start out like that, there are no rules, there are no boundaries, there's no preconditioned ideas as to, well, you should plant this here or that won't work there.
Justin had been a banker, and Debbie had worked in marketing. Free of traditional ideas, they experimented and built up a highly successful business. Originally, they ran it part-time, but for many years now, it's been a full-time way of life. They've even built their home on a hill right above the vineyards and the winery. They've developed a number of top premium, high-quality Bordeaux-style wines, which have now won many prestigious awards.
We wanted to make a Bordeaux, or a Bordeaux-style blend that was a Margaux style in Bordeaux, so a soft, more feminine style that today is called a Saucilles. It's a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and Merlot.
At our level of production, we're so small that we really are able to express each individual vineyard in the bottle, whether it was hot or cold or dry or very rainy that particular year.
It's more artistic. That's what we love about it, is that it's different every year, and so we work to refine to make the best possible wine each and every year. And it's a different experience.
One of the main reasons the area is proving popular appears to be the freedom it gives winemakers.
I know factually 96% of all the wine in the United States is produced here in California. And experimentally, what makes California interesting in the United States as well is that we're not bound by laws and tradition that our friends in Europe and all across the rest of the world. They're restricted by appellation, by defined geographic parameters, to only certain types of grapes, and only certain amounts of grapes, yields from those grapes can be accepted. If you go beyond that, there's severe penalties. Here, plant whatever you want, grow as much as you'd like to do. We don't have those restrictions here. So we're able to experiment with different types of plantings side by side, different soil conditions, and different blendings of different types of wines that would either be illegal or unheard of in the old world.
The Paso Robles area is still attracting new young blood, with chefs, surfers and students amongst the many trying their luck.
These are kids, really, 25, 30 years old, who are out making some incredible wines. They're getting great reviews, and it's for the same reason. They've just thrown away all the rules. They've done it their way. They're not bound by any tradition. No one's looking over their shoulders, because this is the cutting edge here in California. This is the frontier where, I won't say anything goes. It's not the wild, wild west, but it's maybe the wild west, where we're attracting, and the whole area, and us as well, are attracting young, very motivated people.
Paso Robles is growing enormously. I went to school just south of here, and so I've seen Paso Robles grow in the past 5 years. Within that time, there's probably been about 100 new wineries. Now there's about 250 or so. So with just such a diverse amount of wineries and sizes of places, it's just a great spot to be at right now.
I'd been involved in the retail side of wine for so many years, I thought I'd better to come and try making it. They grow so many different varieties here, so you're able to produce so many different styles of wine. The area is sort of well known for Rhone varieties, so white Rhone and red Rhone, but they grow great Cabernet here, Zinfandel. Here we produce a lovely sweet red, a sweet white, and a range of dry whites and dry reds as well. So it's the diversity mainly.
The area's extreme variability provides many different growing conditions concentrated in a relatively small area.
The area here is just so diverse with microclimates and different soil types, so that we might be getting, Cabernet from maybe 10 different vineyards, and every single one is different. So it enables quite a bit of creativity.
Christian Tigi is another illustration of the new, younger kind of winemaker attracted to Paso Robles. His Four Vines winery was started in 1994 and has gone from strength to strength. He started life as a chef.
Food and wine go hand in hand, and if you're as much of an extremist as I am, if you're going to get into the food, you're going to get into the wine, and I got into the wine a little bit more than I probably should have, but it ended up taking me in a great place, and came out to California after I got out of school to surf and check out the wine business. And my second day of harvest, I watched the harvest moon come up over the hills, and came out of the winery and just tears in my eyes said, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
It's harvest time, and Christian is out in the vineyards that supply him with grapes.
What I'm trying to do right now is pretty much figure out when we're going to pick, ripeness levels. Winemaking all starts in the vineyard. If you can't get it right here, the rest of the process is just null and void.
So you got to do it right from here. So we're looking for optimum ripeness, good acid balance, everything, without letting the sugar get too out of hand, because then there'll be too much alcohol. The thing I think that makes Paso Robles so unique is the topography of the land. The soils are really unique. They're full of lots of limestone, and that has a lot to do with the success of Rhone varietals here. Water's an issue, so you'll tend to see really high quality wines because the yields are much lower than where you have an abundance of water and you can hang a lot more fruit. The vines really need to struggle, and they increase that intensity because they're producing less fruit, so hence that fruit is a lot more concentrated.
Although Four Vines has been going barely a decade and is one of the smaller wineries in the area, it's already built up quite a reputation. The style of business Christian has created is markedly different from the traditional wine industry.
We're playing to a different generation.